D Live.
What's up, family? If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Throw up your flag. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already on YouTube, after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. Man. Diddy is on the verge of finding out if he's going to federal prison or being set free because the jury in his criminal trial is nearing the finish line in terms of a verdict. The jury came back Tuesday afternoon and said they had reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 charges against Diddy, but they were deadlocked on the racketeering conspiracy charge. Deliberations only began Monday, and jurors asked earlier Tuesday for transcripts about some Cassie testimony regarding freak-offs. And they only need to find one instance of Diddy using force, fraud, or coercion to get Cassie to engage in a freak-off to find him guilty of sex trafficking. The jury didn't ask for any transcripts about Jane, so it's unclear whether they fall on the sex trafficking count involving her. Diddy may be in big trouble with Cassie and the Mann Act charges because during testimony, it felt like the prosecutors were able to nail him on transporting male escorts across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Here to help us sift through all of this legal mumbo jumbo and jargon is my main man, attorney Dennis Sperling. What's up, King?
What's up, my brother, man? It's always good to be back here today, man. And you know, as far as lawyers are concerned, this is high drama. Okay. Now, we just spoke yesterday, and I, for the most part, couldn't tell you what was going to happen. But now, I mean, you know, we got 6 questions from the jury. We're only 2 days in. And now we have a better picture of what's going on. Now, remember yesterday, 2 hours into the deliberation, 2 hours into the deliberation, somebody basically said, I've made up my mind. I don't care what you all are talking about. I already know how I feel about this particular situation or this case. I made up my mind. So in other words, you have a jury who's not willing to deliberate. They're supposed to go in that room with an open mind. They're supposed to talk about the information, all the evidence that was presented, and they're supposed to hash out how they feel. This particular juror, number 25, basically dug his heels in and said, I've already made up my mind, and you know, that's it. Now, there's 2 avenues, okay? If he made up his mind based on the fact that I heard all the witness testimony, I heard the evidence, I listened to them thoroughly, and I've come to the conclusion that he's not guilty of the RICO charges, and therefore I don't need to talk to you all because there's nothing else you can say to me. That's one thing. Now, if he goes in and says, hey, you know, I just don't believe in this type of case, I don't care what the evidence says, he could actually be removed from the jury pool. Now, here's the crazy part about it. Here's where it gets, I'm gonna use the word funky. Here's where it gets funky. In state court, the state court judges are limited, but the federal court judges could literally remove this juror and have an 11-person jury come up with a decision. It hadn't got to that extent. Because see, yeah, isn't it? See, the difference between state court and federal court is that federal court doing voir dire, which is a term that means speak the truth, the judge does the voir dire. In state court, the lawyers are presented with an opportunity to ask the jurors questions. You don't get that in federal court. I remember my first trial ever as a young lawyer. It was a federal court case, and I was representing a man named Joe James against against the city of New Orleans in federal court. I'm 2 years out of law school, okay? And so I was utterly shocked at the fact that we didn't get a chance to ask the jury any questions. No, it's the judge saying, hey, these are the questions I'm gonna ask. You get the ones that's left. You can strike the ones you don't like. and you get the ones that's left. So, man, this is what's going. I didn't know exactly what was happening yesterday, and that's why I didn't want to do any predictions. But now we have a better look. Here's the thing, and man, jump in anytime. But like I said, this is high drama for attorneys. So here's what we're looking at. Remember, there were 5 counts. Okay, we had 5 counts. We had the racketeering and conspiracy. That was count 1. That's the biggest one. That's life. Okay, that's life in prison. Game over. The second one, which they've already come to a conclusion on, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Okay, the maximum sentence is life, but the mandatory minimum is 15. Diddy is how old? 55. So, that's 15 years minimum, fair time. Okay, the other one is, the third count was transportation to engage in prostitution, and the maximum sentence is 10 years in prison. Count 4, sex trafficking by forcing, the same thing, basically force, fraud, or coercion, is another 15 years. And then you got count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution. And again, that's the maximum sentence of 10 years. The jury has already come to a consensus on those last 4. And based on the questions, okay, and this is what, based on the testimony that they wanted to review, who did they ask to review? They wanted to hear about Cassie. They wanted to hear about the beating that she received in the hotel. And so the jury is saying, well, you are telling us this is not racketeering. We've already made a decision on the sex trafficking and the transportation and engaging in prostitution. We're going to show you, other jurors who don't believe that this is racketeering, look at the force, because sex trafficking is one of the predicates for RICO. So they're in there fighting with each other. They're in there fighting it out. I mean, it is high drama in that jury room. And so they said, look at what she said. She was forced to stay. She received money. She received gifts. I believe she was receiving a $10,000 stipend every month. And what was her purpose?
I think that was the other girl.
That was the other one. Okay, so money was exchanged. But see, here's the thing, man. I want to explain to you all, and if you don't mind me doing a little call and response, I go to church and I go to boy. So let the church say flued out.
You got the floor.
Can the church say flued out? I want the church to say flued out. Okay, let me explain to you all. So under 18 USC 2421, also called the Mann Act, all right, it is a federal crime to knowingly transport an individual, that could be a man or a woman, across state lines with the intent that they engage in prostitution or any sexual activity, okay, for which a person can be charged for a criminal offense. So what does that mean, fellas, ladies? You got an arrangement. You got an unspoken understanding. Okay, the man flews you out. He flew you out, ladies, and you got an understanding that you're gonna go shopping. You're gonna go. He's gonna give you some money, and sex is gonna follow. Okay, and so this is a pattern of conduct, and it suggests an implied quid pro quo, and you doing sex in exchange for gifts, money, and favors. And the woman is not even a prostitute in the formal sense of the word, but the underlying intent is to engage in what is considered commercial sex. So here's the thing, family. It seems to me this whole Diddy trial is setting a precedent that none of y'all, nobody in the chat room, anybody who's been flued out, this is all bad. And see, this is to me, it seems like a stretch. But it's right there laid out for us, man. I could ramble on about this for hours. Now, I will say this. These jurors have come to a conclusion today at 5 o'clock Eastern time. The judge could have easily gave them what is called an Allen charge and said, y'all get back in there and y'all work it out. Because they sent a note to the judge saying, we've come to a consensus on 4 of these counts. But it's this last count, this RICO, this racketeering charge, that some of these people in here are not willing to concede to one way or the other. Now, the judge normally will say, hey, go back in there and you all work it out. If you force people to stay in there to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night,
Give you a rush decision.
Somebody's gonna break. Yeah, we already got 4. Let's go ahead and give them 5. Or the other way, you know what? 4 out of 5 ain't bad. Not guilty, mistrial, whatever. Okay, or not guilty. So he might have beat the RICO charge. Okay, if and this is what I'm sensing, this is what I'm gathering. He might have beat the RICO charge if the judge gave him an Allen charge. The defense counsel would have been screaming, "Yeah, Allen charge him. Make him go back in there and decide." Because once these people have dug their heels in on a particular day, they might say, "Look, I'm not budging. Y'all budge. I gave y'all 4. Okay, you got the prostitution, transportation, and sex trafficking. I don't think he's guilty of RICO." But now that the judge said, "Okay, we're going to adjourn for the night. We will resume tomorrow at 9 a.m." Somebody get a good night's sleep. They might say, "You know what? I fought hard enough for Diddy." Okay, it's a lot easier to fight for somebody when you believe in the virtues of their personality. But if you already, if they're asking you to follow the law for a person that you find to be of low moral character, then it's a lot more difficult to fight for that person to the end of the week. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, by tomorrow, the jury might say, "You know what? Oh, well, just hit him with the racketeering charge so I can enjoy the rest of my week." This is high drama, man. I mean, for attorneys. But brother.
What happens if they find him, let's say they find him innocent or guilty on 4 charges, but innocent or guilty on the 5th charge, like, the opposite on the 5th charge? Is that a hung jury, or do we have to get the time for those 4 charges, and then the 5th one where they think he's innocent, there's no penalty for that?
Well, here's the thing: if there's a hung jury on one, and I doubt if the judge allows it to be a hung jury, I think he's going to force them to come up with either not guilty or guilty.
On all. The judge wants a decision on every single count.
Yes, yeah, I believe. I don't think he's going to let them out of it because they're too close. You got 4 out of 5, you can figure out the last one. Either it's going to be guilty or not guilty. But if he's guilty on, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What I want to know is there a legal threshold where the judge can intervene if he feels that the deliberations are going nowhere?
Well, yes, but that's limited. He can always bring the jurors out and ask them questions, but not necessarily about the deliberations, but he can ask them questions, about kind of voir diring them again, but not necessarily asking questions about the particular case. You see, because that would be a violation. That's grounds for appeal. And if he was to take the extreme, extraordinary step of dismissing one of the juries, I mean, that's grounds for appeal right there. So this judge is not going to do that. That would be an extreme step. Okay. And it sounds like they worked out whatever issues they had on the first day anyway, because they came up with a consensus for 4 charges. And we're just waiting around for the racketeering and conspiracy charge, which is the big one. I mean, that's the numero uno as far as the prosecution is concerned. But man, the thing is, man, that's already 40. We already looking at 15 years. We're already looking at 15 years. I mean, if what I'm reading, they've come to a consensus on sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution, they already come to a consensus on those. And the way the evidence that they were asking for, Cassie's testimony, you don't want the jury, when they read that out, her testimony about how she was quote unquote abused, that does not sound good, especially when you read it in a very sterile way like that. And that was done because there were some juries on the bench that apparently the other jurors didn't think. You didn't hear what she said. You don't think there was any force involved? You say she was there? Hear how she was beat down in the hallway. Hear how she testified that she was at an event somewhere and there was a witness who saw Diddy dig his fingernails into her and then her hands or wrists, and then got up and left. What about the fact that one of the male prostitutes, when he heard Diddy and her arguing in a room, and then she came running out the room and jumped in his lap naked? You see what I'm saying? And you're telling us this is the jury fighting with each other. You telling us there was no force involved? Force, coercion, or fraud. So, I mean, look, man, I do believe that fat meat is greasy, and the way I'm reading these tea leaves, and again, anything can happen, but the way I'm reading this tea leaves, man, we're looking at a guilty verdict. I mean, we're looking at a guilty verdict for sex trafficking and transportation, because it's a layup at this point. The man already testified that he flew male prostitutes out for the purpose of sex. Even if it was to have sex with this other person, it's still a lewd act, So this is what I see, Willie D, brother. I mean,
What are the odds of the jury being sequestered if the deliberations drag on too long or tensions continue to rise?
Well, I mean, this is pretty normal for juries. I am sure that the defense counsel is not sleeping well tonight, knowing that the judge didn't Allen charge them. Okay. Because at least they could have beat the major one. But I mean, this is pretty normal. This is not extraordinary. This is just, again, this is high drama for lawyers. Like us looking at like, oh my God, to the outsiders, it's just a room and people are asking notes, have notes that they're passing to the court and they're asking questions. But to us, it's like, oh my, this is what's going on back there. There's a fight going on in that jury room and somebody is holding out. And the defense counsel is hoping that they hold out longer, but nobody's going to fight for somebody who they deem to be degenerate for the rest of the week. They're just not going to do it. Now, if he was a saint and he was, a person who, gave to the children and had no criminal record and no other allegations of anything, I could see people holding out. But generally speaking, man, nobody's really going to hold out, and give up too much more of their time for somebody that they deem to be low caliber or degenerate. You understand what I'm saying? It only goes so far. So by not Allen charging the jury and say, okay, you all go home and think about it. Y'all gonna come back here tomorrow. You can take the subway back here tomorrow and, eat this bad food that we're offering. And you can just stay as long as you want to. You can be inconvenienced and taken away from your life as long as you want to. You see, and people get the win. They're like, man, I got to get back to my life. This is jury. How would you feel if you were locked in a room for 31 days? Okay, you down to the last wire, and at the end of the day, you're defending a degenerate. Because at the end of the day, let's just be honest. He was a swinger. He was a degenerate. It's not necessarily illegal, okay, per se. But this is not a saint that we're talking about, Willie. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you are representing a client, when you were doing on the criminal side of things, when you were representing clients, and you felt that perhaps, have you ever been in a position where you felt like, well, I know that in the beginning when you first represent the client, you got to tell the client the good, the bad, and ugly. Look, man, we can go in here and fight, but go like this or go like this. Well, we're long past the trial part. They didn't win in there. Diddy's representation have went in there and they fought. They fought a long, hard battle. Now, it's out of their hands and it's in the hands of the jurors. Now, what do you tell Diddy at this point? Do you reiterate that it could go either way, or do you try to keep his spirits up and say, man, I think we good. We good. What are you saying?
That's not my job. My daddy, and I hate to keep going back about my dad, but when he had a hard-headed client, and I'm not saying Diddy's a hard-headed client. When he had a hard-headed client, he said, look, at 5 o'clock, I'm going to go home. At 5 o'clock, you're going to go with that man through that door right there. You can take this plea or we can go to trial. Either way, that's how it's going to be. Now, he was an excellent criminal defense attorney. But at the end of the day, we don't take this personally. We wasn't the one having freak offs. There's a lot of other stuff that P. Diddy could have been doing with his money. Again, we fear. It's not my job to erase this man's history as an attorney. It's my job to make sure the state does its job and proves beyond a reasonable doubt that he's guilty of the crime he allegedly committed. I'm not emotionally attached to any of these folks, you see. But again, okay, this is why I stopped practicing criminal law. Okay, this is why when my dad would try to get me to work with him and practice these criminal cases, I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to get involved in that. This is why I stick to class actions and car accidents and, and
They getting the wreck, you give them.
yeah, that's why I'm at that, because I'm not emotionally involved. And of course, I do have clients that unfortunately they die doing car accidents, and this, I have to deal with the family and the children, and that weighs on you. You see what I'm saying? But it's far different than when you have somebody who's out there, committing mayhem and whatnot. Now, the problem with Diddy is not a repeat offender. Diddy is not a let me say it like this. There's some people, man, they already know. Like I remember I was working with a judge friend of mine, and a brother got caught with like 4 keys. And I said, look, man, this is gonna be $50,000 a key. You got caught in New Orleans, transported from here, you're gonna pay. You know what I'm saying? We don't do this for free. And he said, well, man, that's too much money. I'll just go ahead and do that 10 years. I'm like, all right, because they used to it. This is the mindset. I've been going to jail. This is part of the business. That this is the mindset of career criminals. They used to going in and out the penitentiary. So instead of paying to fight for his freedom, knowing that he might end up getting more time anyway, he said, well, I'll just bite the bullet and go. I'll catch y'all next decade. You see what I'm saying? Diddy, on the other hand, is not that type of that. No, this is the college boy who got a little power, got a little influence, became real popular, became a very successful businessman. And now he's in a situation that he's about to go to prison for the rest of his life. I am certain this is not how he thought that his life would end up. You see what I'm saying? And so I guess in a situation like that, you would try to console the person a little more, but that's not my job. That's his family's job. Those are the people who care. I'm just going to act professional and be an attorney. And that's it, brother. That's why I tell folk, man, stay out of them streets, stay out of trouble. Go to church, say your prayers, get your one woman, don't cheat. Fellas out there, don't cheat. Okay, get your one woman and don't cheat. And because you don't want this. You don't want any part of this.
Let's say some new evidence surfaced while the jury is still deliberating. How would the court handle that?
New evidence now?
Right now, would it be too late if some new evidence?
Oh man, come on, man. No, we done. We done with this one. What sort? You would have to have the prosecutor would have to come up. We would have to learn that the prosecutor has been holding exculpatory evidence this whole time. That nobody. That'd have to be prosecutorial.
That's a mistrial.
Yeah. But just no. If somebody else comes out of the woodwork and say, yeah, man, Diddy was a great guy. I'd never seen him do any of that. Well, where was he at during this 30-day trial? You see, you would have to have something so major. All the video footage turns out to be straight AI. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Or just something totally fraud, but it's too much evidence out there, man. You and I alluded to this yesterday, man. I mean, I think Diddy forgot that he was black. He forgot. And he forgot that he was famous. And he forgot that there's a microscope under famous black people. You see what I mean? And the higher you go up that mountain, and I spoke about this before, there are jealous people out there. There are people who are angry and they want to put your head over their mantle so you can be another trophy. You're just a big black buck. And unfortunately, man, my daddy told me, and I'm sure a lot of brothers out there, you got to work twice as hard as folk to achieve just as much, and you got to walk that straight and narrow. No drugs, no alcohol, none of that, man. And you still might get hemmed up. Yeah.
Yeah, you damn near got to be perfect.
Damn near, yeah.
Yeah, you damn near got to be perfect, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you coming on, man, and providing this insight as you always do. You make it real simple for everybody to understand. And I know we got a verdict coming. I'm pretty sure that verdict coming tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure Diddy is going home.
All right, brother. You pretty sure? Okay, praise God, hallelujah.
I think Diddy's going home, man.
All right,
Diddy's going home.
Man, you might be right, brother. You might be right, man. I could be wrong. I could be. If I'm wrong, man, I would come in here tomorrow with my hat in hand and say, "You were right, brother. You were right." But I don't know. I don't know, Willie. brother. I think, in my humble opinion, I think the brother did. What's the name of that song he got? Can't hold me back. They about to hold him back. They ain't
Man,
never hold
man,
me. Hold him back.
then Diddy going home. Diddy gonna be at home for the 4th of July. He barbecuing. He gonna be barbecuing, and he gonna serve. And then as he's serving that barbecue, he gonna say, "Take that, take that, take that, take that." He gonna be serving the barbecue like that. You're gonna have barbecue. It's gonna be some chicken. We're gonna say chicken.
Amen. Amen.
Take that.
Amen,
Take that, take that. I'm serious though, man. It sounds like I'm playing, but I'm serious. Diddy going home, man. Diddy gonna beat this, man.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
You know what I don't like though, before you go, man? This is something that's been burning, like for us regular folks who are not lawyers.
Yeah.
We see women all the time who say that they've been violated, and sometimes it is true, but oftentimes it's not true, and they just lie. And when it's found out that they have lied, there's never any repercussions for them. Like there's never any consequences. They just get to go back home and live their life. I've seen women ruin men's lives, ruin college football players' lives, basketball players' lives, and they just, I lied. Sometimes they admit to lying, and sometimes they get evidence that they lied, but nothing ever happens. In the foreseeable future, is there any way that some type of law can be passed to hold people who lie about sexual assault accountable?
Well, okay, so in the practice of law, or when the laws are created, there's something related to public policy, okay? And in the event that there is a man who, and I hate to be so blunt, but it is more important for us to make sure women are protected from sexual violence than it is to protect innocent men, as it is right now. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because I'm a man and I have 3 sons. Okay. On top of that, I got 3 black sons. And I know the history of this country, and I understand that black men have often been falsely accused, and not just black men, but all men have falsely accused of heinous acts. And before people even know the true facts, they're already passing judgment. And that is because we hold women in their chastity and their ability to control who enters their body in high regard. I do think that's a good thing. Okay. Now, what can you actually do about it? Well, if you're lied upon, then you can sue for defamation. If someone makes a false police report, then that's fraud. In many states, that's a misdemeanor. These actions have not necessarily been taken often. And the reason is because men don't necessarily have the appetite for it, because men are taught to be chivalrous. They're taught that, we should be forgiving towards women. And so because of that, women don't necessarily have to suffer the consequences of telling a white lie, even if that white lie causes for a man to be locked up for 33 years or to lose his career, lose his family. But it's not just that. If you ever go to the family law court, I thought perjury was against the rules of the court. But there are a lot of attorneys who specifically tell their clients to plead DV and abuse, or even abuse of children, so that they can then file a restraining order, remove the man from the house, establish themselves in the home. And then as a divorce is pending, right, the children are now in the home, the mother is now in the home, and so she gets the home. You see? She gets the custodial, and he has to go off about his business and try to live in a car, an apartment, or somewhere like that, even if it's all a lie. The judges are going to err on the side of protecting women. And that's the same thing with the police. And that's the same thing with the judicial system. So, yeah, it's a tough spot. in this particular case, if we want to bring it all back home to Diddy, I do not think I do not think Cassie was making this up. I do think there was a lot of salacious sexual activity going on, and I do think there was coercion, and I do think money and gifts were exchanged, and I believe that I think we all can see that. I think we just have a problem with the fact that, you know, they're trying to hit this man with a RICO charge at 55 years old, and this woman got what, $30 million or something like that, and we just find it distasteful, generally speaking. But because Sean Diddy Combs is not the most sympathetic of defendants, you know, we are going to go ahead and let this happen and turn a blind eye. But it does set a very interesting precedent, because see, you know, Willie D, if it can happen to him and he's a billionaire, it can happen to, you said if it can happen to Diddy, it could happen to Smitty. You see what I'm saying? So it's just interesting times we live in, man. Y'all stay prayed up though. Stay prayed up. Get your one woman and don't cheat, fellas. Get your one woman and don't cheat and be nice to her.
Be nice to her, absolutely. Yeah. But I did want to say this, that I don't think that that Cassie is lying either. But I do believe that if Diddy is guilty, Cassie is guilty also, because Cassie was riding shotgun for those freak offs. She the main attraction for the freak offs. So if Diddy, and she making phone calls, scheduling freak offs. She talking about she want the freak off. She paying the escorts. This is by her own admission. So if she's involved to that extent, then she ain't innocent. Why is it that some people are giving her a pass? Why is it that these other women are getting a pass when they participated, and these other people who scheduled the rooms, you know, who booked the rooms, who cleaned up the rooms, who bought the baby oil, who bought the condoms, who bought the food so that they could keep on going, because, you know, they had to eat, man. They was taking breaks, man. They was freaking so hard. They was talking about sometimes they had 24-hour freak offs. So it's people going back and forth. They know what's going on. All of these people that was involved, and Diddy the only one got to go to jail. He the only one on trial. All of these people, you know what that tells me? That tells me I can participate. I can knowingly enter into a RICO organization, an organization that is participating in RICO acts. And as long as I'm not the main guy, I can commit any kind of crime that I want to, as long as I'm not the main guy, and I'm willing to give the main guy up whenever it go down. Whenever the feds come down on him, as long as I'm willing to get a main guy up, I'm safe, no matter how unscrupulous I was, no matter how demonic I was, no matter how corrupt I was, how criminal I was, I get to go home. That ain't cool, man.
Yeah,
and you mentioned president, right? You mentioned presidents. I think I think that creates, a presidents that we don't want to deal with.
It does, Willie. But see, now you're getting into the philosophy of our society, and you know it's a lot easier to interpret the law. And the question is, why did the DA or why did the U.S. attorney pick Diddy over this woman? Because there's no prize in putting this woman in jail. There's no. She's not the moose head. She's not the 12-point buck that's hanging over the fireplace. She's a nobody, you know, relatively speaking. And then the other thing is, you know, and I hate to sound sexist, but I'm going to sound sexist when I say this. They're going to say that Cassie was unduly influenced by Sean Puffy Combs. He's a man. He had the money. He had all the power. He had the influence. He basically trained her up to be his assistant. She is basically, you know, she went along with it, but only because she was coerced, only because she was influenced negatively by Sean Combs, you know, who practiced this degenerate lifestyle, and he basically, you know, he's a source of the cancer. This is the way society sees it. And there's really no way that he's a lot older than her, so it kind of fits. You know, he's a millionaire. We understand his history, and he's got all these. There's no indication that she was in this swinger lifestyle before. It was until after she met Sean Puff Daddy Combs, that bad boy for life, that she became who she is. And now here she is. She's redeemed herself. She has a couple of kids. She sat up there looking pretty with pregnant and her supporting husband in the audience. And so, you know, the jury.
Some people called him a pimp.
Hmm?
Some people said he was her pimp. Say he coached her to get to the money and all of that. And he listened in on the freak offs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what do they call it? Turned her out. Is that the term they used to use back in the day? Diddy turned her out. That's what they say. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man. Well, again, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man. We coming back tomorrow, man. We're gonna have a decision tomorrow, and I do believe the decision is, ladies and gentlemen, we have a decision. Diddy has been found not guilty of all charges. Actually, what they do is they say when the jury foreman reads the verdict, they go down each count. On count one, the judge say, count one, what is your verdict? Yeah, and then they go to each one of the jurors and say, what does the juror say?
The judge is going to poll each juror, and he's going to say, "Is this your verdict?" Because one of the parties will say, "We want to poll the jury. Was this your verdict? Yes. Was this your verdict? Yes. Was this your?" Yeah, I don't know, Willie. I don't know, brother. I mean, I'm with you. You know, I'm with, but I don't know about this one, man. I think
Diddy going on, man. Diddy, free Diddy, Diddy. You got to free Diddy to free yourself. Think about what I just said. You got to free Diddy to free yourself. It's just like Attorney Dennis Sperling just said. Yeah. If they can do this to a billionaire, if they can do this to a billionaire, you know what they can do to the rest of us. They can do this to anybody, and anybody else is not going to have the resources to fight like Diddy is fighting. And I do believe no matter what happened, Diddy ain't going to be in jail too long no matter what, because Diddy got an ace in the hole.
Well,
Diddy wins a Trump card.
So you think, I thought about that, man. I don't know. Look, Trump can do whatever. He can do whatever he wanted to. He's a president. I don't know if he'll do that, but I will say this. Here's some hope, and I'm going to give you some hope. I'm going to give all the people who say free Diddy some hope. And again, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just have a prediction based on what transpired today. There is grounds for an appeal, and I will say that some of the introduction of some of that salacious testimony was probably unduly prejudicial. It probably swayed the jury in a way in which, and the judge shouldn't have let it in. Are we talking about a DV case? Are we talking about a RICO case? Are we talking about racketeering and the furtherance of a criminal enterprise? Are we talking about a man and some freaky sex that he had with a bunch of people? In the appellate court might look at that and say, yeah, we're gonna dismiss this verdict and reset this for a new trial. So there's grounds for an appeal, but I think he's going to jail. I don't think he's gonna make it. I don't.
But let's say the appellate court says, okay, we are going to set this for a new trial. Do you believe the prosecution to go through all the trouble again of trying him, or will they just say, you know what, we're not going to retry this case? Go on about your business, man.
So now that we have a new administration, Donald Trump. Now, I want you to keep in mind that Trump and Sean Combs used to be friends, okay? And then when he became a Republican, or publicly became a Republican, then they kind of fell out a little bit, all right? And so now,
I like that you said publicly became a Republican.
Yeah, publicly, anyway, but it's a lot of private Republicans around here that really like what they see going on. They might not agree with the man and his personality, but I don't know a rich person yet that didn't want low taxes, taking less of my money. But here's what I'm saying. Yeah, he could always issue a pardon. Okay, but I would let him make the appeal first. You see what I'm saying? See what happens, because he might get free. I mean, you know, the man has already been in jail, what, a year and a half now?
No, like 9 months.
9 months, yeah. So, you know, we have to just see what happens. But I don't think there's gonna be a not guilty verdict, Brother Willie. I think he's gonna go. I think he's out of here. That's what I think.
All right. Well, tune in, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, because we're gonna be right back here when we get that decision. When we get the decision that Diddy has been freed, and Diddy is, from what I understand, Diddy is supposed to do a dance inside the courtroom once he's freed. He will be doing a victory dance on top of the defense table. Yeah, tomorrow it's going down. Thanks for coming on the show, man. We're going to keep it going, but thanks for coming on the show.
Always, brother. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Always good to be here. Thank you so much, Willie.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Sperling. Yeah, fam. I think Diddy got it. I think he got it, fam. I think Diddy going to be freed tomorrow. I might even give y'all, I'm finna get my Ali on. I think Diddy will be freed tomorrow by 2 p.m. No, by 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Diddy will be free. Got me another one. Ooh, that block hand cold, man. I'm cold-blooded with the blocks, man. I'm cold. The block party is open for any uncivilized mutts that have made their way in the comments who don't know how things go around here. Hey, we ain't got to agree, fam. You can have your opinion. We don't have to agree, but you cannot, absolutely will not be able to come on my platform and disrespect me. Where do you get your home training from, you uncivilized mutt? Who taught you that, you uncivilized mutt? Do not play games with me like that. Play games with your mammy and your pappy. Don't come around here being disrespectful. Coming on my platform to say anything is a privilege, not a right. Just like if I was to go to your platform, any one of y'all channels, and say anything, that's a privilege. Y'all allowing me to come on y'all platform. You're allowing me to come on your channel and make a comment or whatever. The least I can do is be respectful to the host, right or wrong. Right or wrong. I know what I'm saying is unpopular, fam, but isn't that how things go in a free democracy? You know what I'm saying? We in the free world. We ain't locked up. You're supposed to be able to be free to have the opinion that you want to have without feeling that you are somehow being, having your thoughts suppressed. Like somebody is pressing you or something. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care how many of y'all get mad. Diddy going home. Diddy going home. Diddy is going home tomorrow. And I'm going to put it in the title tomorrow. So I'm letting you know now, when you wake up, it's going to say, Diddy. Let me see, breaking news. No, it's not going to say breaking news. We stop the news. We don't need to say news. Breaking, exclamation mark. Diddy leaving jail today. And then I'm going to put something else. I'm going to put a subtitle there just to make you a little hotter, make you even madder, put a subtitle. Get under your skin. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Free Diddy, free R. Kelly. Peace be with you. What's up? What's up, Lindo? Was it Lindo Johnson? All right. Darryl Gilbert. Turn that cap lock off, player. Christina Love. Cowboy. Emmy Starr, Lucky Ducky, Tina Watson. For everybody who want to see Diddy go to jail, y'all don't think 9 months is enough for somebody to be in prison? You know, if you're mad that Cassie, because he jumped on Cassie, y'all don't think 9 months is enough? Y'all don't think that's enough? Some of y'all forgave your boyfriends or your girlfriends. Y'all forgave your mamas and your daddies for less. I mean, for more than that. And they ain't do no time. But you want Diddy to do life? Come on, man. Y'all don't think 9 months is enough for a domestic abuse where nobody got killed, nobody got stabbed, nobody got shot? Y'all don't think that's enough? Well, okay, what about 9 months and $20 million? Y'all don't think that's enough? Because really, he's in jail. He's not even supposed to be in jail for domestic violence, but I understand some of y'all want him to pay for jumping on Cassie. I understand, even though that has nothing to do with the trial, but it kind of did because they kept on showing that video and kept on talking about domestic abuse. But y'all don't think 9 months and $20 million is enough? You know, a man sitting in prison for 9 months and $20 million and his reputation pretty much shot. Y'all don't think that's enough? Why y'all want to see the man do 15, 20 years for something nobody else is doing no time for? Other people doing the same thing right now. They ain't doing no time. You ain't asking the police to go after them. That don't bother you at all. But you won't see Diddy in jail for 15, 20 years, life? That don't make sense to me. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's my time. I appreciate y'all, fam. Tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to be at it again tomorrow. I am coming out tomorrow with a brand new title. That's the same title that I've been putting out for the last 2 days. Well, actually this week, yeah, Monday, Tuesday. And tomorrow, I'm going to say it again until Diddy goes home. Breaking. Diddy leaves jail today. No more talk. I know that pissed off a lot of y'all. Mission accomplished.